Hello, welcome back to the Waffle Press movie podcast, retrospective, shenanigans, nonsense. We're here talking Batman stuff. We're all over the place, but luckily, we are here to talk about not another Tim Burton Batman movie, but a Joel Schumacher movie in Batman Forever, starring Val Kilmer,
Diego, wait.
Nicole Kidman. What?
We're actually here to discuss a different film, as the audience knows, because they read the title.
Oh, fuck, there's another one
Yeah.
in there.
This Christmas, for the first time, America's most exciting and legendary motion picture hero comes to the screen like you've never seen him before. The Bat! In an all-new, larger-than-life feature film.
Batman Mask of the Phantasm, 1993 animated superhero film featuring the DC Comics character Batman.
Yes.
Okay, full disclosure, I did watch Batman Forever initially before preparing for this episode, even though Matt and I discussed, we should do Mask of the Phantasm next, because that's next in the chronological release order. And even after that conversation we had, I forgot, so I watched Batman Forever first. So I'm set for the next episode. And I rewatched Mask of the Phantasm yesterday, so...
I should ask, in your research, did you find out there was another theatrically released Batman animated film?
Mask of the Phantasm... I mean, there's... What was the other one?
It's one that I will tell you after the podcast, because we might have to veto it. Because It's not very good.
I'm scared now.
It was one that people were waiting for, I would say, about 20 years. And it brought Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill back, and has an unnecessarily tacked on prologue to a story that was that one received
my god! I forgot that made it to theaters.
A limited theatrical release. But it is so awful. That you'd be shocked to know that a lot of people who worked on Mask of the Phantasm worked on it.
Mask of the Phantasm is directed by Jared Radonsky and Bruce Timm. Both, I believe... I know for sure Bruce Timm worked in the animated series. I believe Eric Radonsky also worked on the animated series.
Is it Radonsky? I have a different name.
Radomski, excuse me.
I was wondering, there was the question of which one of us took the bad notes.
Yeah, no, it's my writing. It's
they both. I believe they both worked on the show. I know Bruce Timm did, but I know all the writers definitely worked on the animated series.
Should we also mention a little bit of the animated series really quick, just like the art design and everything, because that is directly just this movie.
Well, yeah, this is directly in continuity with the first few seasons of the Batman animated series. Although, that show is all over the place in terms of continuity. I believe Robin is in, the third episode, and then he disappears for, 10 episodes. So, and this movie does not feature Robin in any capacity, so...
They got him again.
Yep.
After Batman Returns, they kicked him out.
They keep kicking Robin out, which, whatever. The animated one might have been the only time they could have done it right.
Yeah, I guess it's something we'll talk about as we go on. But in live action, it might be a little harder to pull off.
But Batman the Animated Series came around right around the animation renaissance that happened at the beginning of the 90s. A lot of people always talk about Disney, because that's when Disney got back on its feet. But there was actually a real big trickle down of animation coming back in the United States. As you know, most 80s cartoons... which are very popular with the nostalgic crowd, are not very good. Try sitting through an episode of fucking the original Transformers. Because you can't, because it's not good. But around this time, someone said, hey, let's actually put some money in the cartoons. And we started getting stuff like Animaniacs, Tiny Toons, which a lot of people who worked on Tiny Toons ended up jumping over to this Batman the Animated Series, which was an animated show. I believe it was originally released in prime time. It was a huge deal when it dropped. And they were basing the style on it on like a darker version of the Fleischer Brothers Superman cartoons from the 40s, which if you haven't seen those, check them out. But this show kind of came back, and it defined Batman for a whole generation of kids, including myself.
And it would also launch what could be considered one of the most popular, or at least critically popular, cinematic universes in the animated world.
Yes, the animated. Some people call it the Timiverse because Bruce Timm worked on a lot of it. I'm not sure if that works, but no, this leads directly into Superman the animated series. They did not give Wonder Woman an animated series for some reason because people are cowards. We also got a Justice League cartoon, Batman Beyond, Static Shock was kind of at the tail end. But all that stuff ties in together really well and was really good. To the point where DC seems to continually try to mine the nostalgia for the animated stuff and has not released much of quality in the animation realm. Comparatively, like Young Justice is really good.
I have not checked out the third season yet.
But
I've
heard it's more adult.
Those first two seasons are so good.
Yeah, it was really good, and thankfully it starts with a new continuity. It's a whole new setup with them, but it's real nice. There's the Teen Titans cartoon, which is not connected to this continuity, which was good. But most of what I've seen from the direct-to-DVD animated films have not been super great. They seem to be working out plot ideas that could eventually become live-action films someday, but none of it's really polished enough.
Yeah, how we got the Suicide Squad Assault on Arkham first, and then you got the Suicide Squad movie. It's it's all kind of skeevy to me, Well, and then the animation is just unbearable.
Yeah, the animation's not great. Although, I don't know, I'm not a great judge of that, but I've only seen a handful, most of what I've seen. The one I hinted at earlier, I guess I'll just say it, there's an adaptation of The Killing Joke, which is just it's shockingly bad. And it was one people have been waiting for forever. Just to hear Mark Hamill as the Joker do the lines from the comic. That's the main reason I wanted it. And they gave him bad direction too.
Oh. Well, here he has good direction.
And he had great direction in the animated series itself, which has an amazing cast of voice talents working behind their characters, including Paul Williams as the Penguin. Andre Romano is the one who kind of casts these shows, and she casts them perfectly. Yeah,
I was at LA Comic-Con the year before, I don't know, 1 or 2 years ago, and I was watching a lot of those the DC animated voice actors talk, and Andrea Romano was there, and they all just they did nothing but keep praising her because Beast Boy. The version of Beast Boy that everyone knows and for the most part loves from the Teen Titan cartoon you brought up, he didn't have a shot in hell of getting cast in that show, but she vouched for him, and he basically has said that he owes his career and his livelihood to her, and he'll everyone just loves her so much, and she recently retired, and so mad respect to her because we wouldn't have all these really talented voice actors working on all these really great animated properties.
Sad she's retiring, but I guess everyone needs a break eventually.
Yeah.
But here we have, in this film, for the voices, we have Kevin Conroy as Batman. I don't know where did he come from.
I think he did do soap operas.
And
he looks like a soap opera
He
actor.
does a little bit. He's the voice that I usually hear when I read the Batman comics. That's how instilled in my brain the animated series is. So I'm definitely going to give some points to this just based on pure nostalgia. I might lift it up higher than maybe it really is, but I just love it so much.
A lot of people do, you know? It's kind of almost for people our age and even a little older, by a decade, they'll, it's kind of blasphemous to be it's a good movie. Maybe it's not in my top Batman films, and then someone will just tweet at you forever and keeps making new accounts to spam you after you block some of them.
This might be in my top Batman, but just because doesn't have exactly great competition. Might not be my favorite, but it's like in my top 5 easily.
Possibly for me. I'd have to look back like when we're done with all of these movies to really like give an assertive ranking if I had to, but it's very good.
Very, very, very good. And it was a breath of fresh air in the middle of the Burton films and the Schumacher films, because this is the first fucking Batman movie where Batman actually is the narrative thrust of the story.
Yeah, he's the central character and not just like a passive protagonist reacting.
And it's really good. It's a really good arc for him. Like, I mean, it's pretty simple for what it is because Batman's not a super complicated character.
How dare you?
Sorry, people.
Just add some booze and like tomato sounds in the background.
Yeah. Why are you booing me? I'm right. But he's not. He just isn't. I'm sorry. But here they found a good way to tie in an actual arc with him. And that's where the animated series really works, because some episodes could be about Batman and some could be about his villains. And since everything's only like 30 minutes long, like you don't have to worry about carrying like an entire film. Because usually there's not a story that they did that was worth doing like a 90-minute story on, you know?
Yeah.
And just, you know...
I mean, this film is like what, like not even 80 minutes. It's
not even
it's like 76 minutes long.
It's like an hour 15.
Yeah. So to the film's credit, Master of the Phantasm's credit, it doesn't feel like some of those movie adaptations that are just like 3 episodes stitched together. It's very much like one whole circular narrative. But it's also less than 90 minutes long.
Yes.
So,
but that's not always a bad
not
thing.
a dig, just like something I noticed.
I just rewatched the General with Buster Keaton. That's like an hour 20. But on top of this, we have fucking Abe Vigoda's in this goddamn thing. I don't know how they got him. I mean, Abe Vigoda did Good Burger, but it's just interesting to hear. Stacy Keach is the voice of the Phantasm, the original villain of this film, which is something I also like. I like that he's not fighting one of his like famous rogues gallery villains. That the Joker does show up in this, but he's kind of a secondary character. Yeah,
he's not important until the very end.
Or
at least you find out his importance by the very end. But yeah, that's also something I want to credit the animated series for. Mm. You know, it created Harley Quinn, the Phantasm. I really miss adding and creating new like super characters.
Yeah.
On in different mediums, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I think Arrow and Supergirl have done it once in a while, and that's generally actually worked out on occasion. It's actually kind of amazing because those shows have, let's just call them pitfalls once in a while. I like them, but you know, there's only so much I can take, and I wish the Marvel stuff did it, you know, or like even the DC movies now, like. Because Aquaman, again, we talked about it a couple times already on these episodes, but that movie is just fucking crazy, and you could do, like, anything now. It really feels like the door's opened on that side of the genre in a big way to me.
Can they do it? They can do anything. Will they do anything? Probably not. That tends to be Hollywood. Part of it is that it's hard for people to get the royalties that they want if they create a character. Sometimes just, like, under contract, sometimes you don't get as many royalties you would. If you created it through a different medium, so people are reluctant and they just kind of retread the same villains. That's why I think when they did the New 52, it was cool that the first Batman story was a completely original set of villains with the Court of Owls, which like instantly became iconic.
Mm-hmm.
And those you could do in a movie, but it, like again, a big part of it is that the marketing machine has to go. Here's Batman, and here's who he's going to be fighting. Because we got to put him on posters. And if it was like Batman versus villain we've never heard of, it just wouldn't, the marketing people would be a little nervous. Because you can anchor like, oh, Jack Nicholson's the Joker, Heath Ledger's the Joker, or Danny DeVito's the Penguin, or Mark Hamill's the Joker. There's a lot of Joker talk.
Yeah.
That's the other thing, is that they just keep redoing the fucking Joker again.
And we'll definitely keep getting into that because it keeps fucking popping up. But I mean, the reason is because he's like maybe the ultimate comic book villain. I don't know if he's even like my favorite, but like you just know him like right away by this point, and I get it, but it's a mistake.
I want him
still
to take a backseat to these stories. I want a Batman movie where the Joker like is like a villain that gets foiled in the first 5 minutes. You know, like
Yeah.
I would much prefer that to holy shit, the Joker will be on this fucking show 5 times by the end of it.
which yeah, that speaks to your note right there.
Yeah.
That might be a problem.
That's a problem, and we have a Joker standalone movie on the way.
Are we going to talk about that?
I mean, Batman's not in it.
Yeah, so we might have dodged the bullet.
We might.
there.
I mean, who knows? Because it could be. It's one of those things where it's like all the pieces of it are so weird that it could accidentally be very good.
Yeah.
But I'm not. I don't have a lot of faith in that director.
Neither do I.
We'll see. I do like Joaquin Phoenix is going to be the Joker. That's interesting.
Yeah, that's that. And you know what? Fucking God bless him, because he's not treating this role like it's like the Holy Grail.
Yeah.
He's just like, I thought it was an interesting role.
Yeah.
Like, thank you. Thank you.
Like he's not.
It's just nice to treat it like anything else in life.
Yeah, it's not like you've been cast as fucking King Lear. It's the fucking Joker. But it kind of started becoming that way. But again, that's all marketing. It's all marketing glitz. Because the Joker's a really good villain, and he's kind of like the textbook example of what a good villain is, but we're done. We don't need that. And we need these villains to start taking a fucking backseat to an actual Batman story. Because that's what they fucking did it in 93.
It's fucking great. Like, it sounds like I'm softballing it at the beginning a little bit there, but I really do like this movie a lot.
No, it's real good.
And there's this great story of like two people that are deeply like in love with one another, and they can't be together, and it's really their own faults.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, in a way, yeah.
That it's just them being unable to give up things that essentially destroy their lives.
Yes.
You know, and fucking talk about a downer ending.
Oh God, yeah.
Which so yeah, it's good shit. But we'll get there.
It's a downer ending if you're not a sad teenager boy.
Yeah.
Where you're like, I am the knight.
Yeah, that's why I don't want to hop around too much, so I apologize for this, but like Bruce Timm clearly had a good track record for a while, and it's like not there anymore. And given like what his stories have revolved around in the later, more recent years, it kind of feels like, oh wow, he was really restrained by stuff back then, because everything that felt like it had like some real like thematic weight to it or character weight to it previously, and it's like conflicting and stuff that doesn't like make light of Batman characters in particular, or make them seem like edgy to be cool, and like now he's just falling back on like that shock value type stuff. But it's kind of the same material where it's like, isn't that like, it's weird. It puts his previous work in a different light for me, is what I'm trying to say.
Well, it helps that, I mean, the problem is he had a lot of collaborators back in the day that some aren't working on his new stuff. We should mention that this movie has like 4 writers. Alan Burnett, all these people wrote for the TV show. Alan Burnett wrote, I believe he wrote the Two-Face episode, or at least half of that. He wrote Riddler's Reform, which is an episode I really like. Where the Riddler tries to go straight, but then he can't get over the fact that Batman is still around. There's Martin Pascoe, who wrote the episode See No Evil, which is a really depressing episode. Michael Reeves, who wrote Perchance to Dream, which is a really good one. And kind of very similarly to this movie, you know the twist like 2 minutes in, but it's a very good ride.
Yeah,
because it's meant for kids. If you're a kid, you might not get the twist. I sure as shit didn't. Might say a lot about gender biases in young children. And then the 4th writer is the great Paul Dini, who wrote the bulk of, at least had his hand in a bulk of the Batman the Animated Series. He wrote Heart of Ice, which completely reinvented Mr. Freeze. Joker's Favor, which introduced Harlequin, who became a very popular character to a point that I don't totally understand. Mad as a Hatter, which is a really, just unnerving episode, in my opinion. He adapted Laughing Fish, which is it's based on a comic, but I gotta bring that episode up because it fucking terrified me as a child. And an episode that you could only have done on the animated series, and I think that's what makes it valuable, is that a lot of the stories they did, you could only do in the animated series, which is Baby Doll. Do you know that one?
That's the one with the little girl, right? That's maybe not.
Yeah, no, it is. The one with the little girl who may or may not be a little girl. Like that one horror movie that no one remembers. But Baby Doll is like a great episode of the cartoon, but it's, again, if you try to do it in live action, it would be comical. But it works perfectly for the tone of the animated series.
Unless you got the director of Redacted to do it.
No, even then it wouldn't work.
I just really like that movie. That's like a perfect midnight movie.
Yeah, it's a really underrated horror film. Produced by Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah, that's a hint. That's the only hint that will make it into the episode.
And Rod Reaver gave it a positive review somehow. But I guess we should get into the plot of this film.
Yeah. So hopping between the past and the present, we go from Bruce Wayne's comeuppance to Batman, a little bit of his previous romantic interests, and how his past surprise is influencing the present as a new adversary in Gotham is executing mob bosses. And there's all a connection between them because it's
and framing the Batman inadvertently.
Yeah, and there's a great police chase sequence there that I had completely forgotten about until I rewatched it.
Yeah, it was a really exciting action scene for an animated film, especially from this era. Because, I mean, as much as I love this series, the animation hasn't aged perfectly, but this movie's aged pretty well.
Yeah. Okay, I want to talk about that then before we get into the rest of the plot.
Okay.
The animation, yeah, it's a little, stocky almost. It's a little rigid. But in terms of the actual, production of Gotham and the skies and the characters and the way it uses the light and shadows in a Tim Burton kind of way, but still doing its own thing. I was really impressed. I've always liked this show, but damn,
I think
was impressive stuff.
What made this series kind of end up on the pedestal that it's on is that it really took I don't know, it took 15 years before other series started doing what this series was in Western animation, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't really a lot like this for a long time. And then there was that weird stretch in the early 2000s where there was a brief boom of superhero stuff post 9/11, and then they got rid of it really quick because bunch of executives decided that no one wants to watch superheroes anymore.
Yeah, those people are all fired now.
Oh yes. Well, it was there's that mentality. I actually heard an interview with Bruce Timm where he talked about when they came up with Batman Beyond, that they were originally developing a series set in the future that the people were like, look, we want to do Batman again, but we want it to be more like Pokemon. And so we want a cast of kids so kids can relate to it. So Bruce Timm developed this whole series set in the future with young kids kind of picking up the mantle of Batman. And then the executives were like, how about they're all competing to be Batman? And then Bruce Timm was like, fuck that. And then he took it to another network and it became Batman Beyond.
No.
So, hey, he made the right choice there.
Oh, yeah.
And again, Batman Beyond was not based on a comic either, you know?
Yeah, an entirely original series that was pretty successful and still holds a very, prominent place in, pop culture hearts. It's one of my favorite animated series. It's too weird not to be.
Yeah, to the point where every couple of years you get rumors that they're going to do a Batman Beyond movie, but that's never going to fucking happen.
Yeah, no. You would need to, successfully run not just a cinematic, empire of comic book movies and the DC stuff, because no one's going to want to just jump right into Batman Beyond, you know? Everyone's always going to be like, well, you got to start with Bruce Wayne and get to there eventually.
Yeah.
And that's just... Don't do that. It's not going to work.
I'm on the opposite. You have to stop trying this cinematic universe shit.
I think I'm actually at that point now too.
Um,
I don't care about how anything ties into anything anymore. If it's good and like this continuity is out of whack with like 5 other movies, I don't give a fuck.
yeah, Marvel did all right, but I'm done with it. And it works much better in television, which is why I think the current DC live action shows have been able to tie in together well, even though like they have to come up with ridiculous reasons for them all to meet. And I also think why this continuity that started with Batman, the animated series, lasted so long. It was just easier. It's easier to build a connected continuity in television than it is in film. And I'd rather see like one Batman movie, one Superman movie, one Wonder Woman film dropped like every 5 years that tell a completely original story that doesn't feel beholden to past continuity. I think we're past doing these epic trilogies with these characters, you know? Maybe Wonder Woman, because Wonder Woman's never really had her fair due. But, yeah, like, at least with Batman and Superman, just try, more standalone things. To all the DC executives listening.
in that sense, I'm actually of two minds. I'm mostly with that, but if someone has, like, a really great idea for something that could be a standalone movie, but also if it's, successful, if it's a hit, we can be like, oh, we can kind of do the next version of the Dark Knight trilogy, but like let's say without Batman. Like I am good without another like grandstanding Batman trilogy, you know?
Yeah, I would say do it with a different character. Like just not like do it like Blue Beetle. You could probably get a trilogy out of.
Oh fuck yeah!
It'd be interesting if you
Jaime
get Blue
Reyes,
Beetle.
Jaime Reyes.
Yeah, but it'd be cool if you could do like all 3 of them. Like Jaime's like the central character, but you can tie in all the different Blue Beetles.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
But yeah, now Jaime's great. He's kind of the DC answer to Spider-Man. It only took him fucking 40 years. But for some reason, fucking his comic never sells. I don't understand it.
Yeah, I don't. And they framed an entire season of Young Justice around the character.
Yeah,
and like it. I mean, that's not why it got canceled, but everyone was, like, upset after that.
It's just, I don't know what it is. He's a great character. I would honestly say that Jaime Reyes Blue Beetle might be one of the best newer comic book characters in the past, 20 years. Like, I love that character. Yeah. The setup is just really great. But for some reason, he can't. And props to DC for always giving the character a shot. Like he comes back every couple of years and then gets canceled after 2, but maybe give Static Shock a boost.
Oh yeah, then that got canceled too, and
yeah,
it's bizarre. I think a while ago you mentioned that comics might be an outdated like art form or entertainment form.
You know what? No, I want to say it's not that the art form's outdated. It's just the way we consume it is outdated.
There's got to be some middle ground to getting it out there, you know, because
I think the idea of subscription models to like Marvel Unlimited, I think that's a better future where you just get access to the entire archive if you're paying a certain amount, a year.
Yeah, I had that for about a year and a half, and then after that I tapped out of comics completely. Mm-hmm. And that was great because I just went back and forth, and I was like, "Oh my god, I never actually read a Fantastic Four comic." The new stuff was bad at the time, but then I was like, "Well, let's look at all this shit," you know?
Yeah, I had it until I didn't have fucking time to read comics anymore. It was cool to jump around. I basically read most of the Spider-Man stuff, which I had never been able to do before. And it's just wow, Spider-Man's got a really consistent quality for a couple decades actually, and then it drops off hard in the 90s. That's the thing. A lot of this stuff, that was the weird thing rewatching this. I really liked this movie, but it did kind of it reminded me of a time that just doesn't exist anymore. And I'm not saying that as a bad thing. I think it's good that we're moving on, that we can now try new things. Again, there's too much dominance in fan culture where it's no, this is the perfect thing. And it was never better than this. And that's why everything should be defined as compared to this. And that never ends well.
I have to give a shout out to my friend Andrew Boyd Allen, a filmmaker and one of my favorite people to talk to about anything with. And we'll butt heads on like basically every movie, television, book opinion ever. Mm-hmm. But I love his like sheer apathy to fan culture, because it's just like he doesn't care, because it's his statement. I think he tweeted out like a while ago that consensus is boring. You know, art's not about consensus. It's about discussions and like what it makes you feel, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, sometimes it makes you feel angry and upset that you spent time with it, but, you know, it made you feel something.
Yeah.
You know?
But so much about fan culture these days is about winning. Like, it's like you have the winning movie or the winning thing or the winning this or the winning opinion. And I'm desperately trying to move away from that, because I know I tapped into that a little bit, like even like just a year ago. I was still kind of like had my foot in that, like unintentionally, but it's something I just don't like anymore. I hold my opinions as my own and understand that I live in a world with diverse opinions.
You know what we call that?
What?
Growth.
Yes.
Okay.
But I you know, fan culture's in a weird place right now.
I think we're going to get better. It's just going to get a lot worse first.
I think we got to burn off the fat. Like, we just got to hope. The problem is we have these studios that like they feel like they're beholden to these fan noises sometimes. And it's weird. Like, I totally 180 from where I was like a decade ago. Like walking out of the Dark Knight being like, man, that's what happens when they listen to the fans and they take Batman seriously. And now I'm like, hey guys, you did pretty well for about a decade not listening to the fans at all. Like, go back to that a little bit. Because we clearly don't know what we want. And I don't know. I'm a fan of things, so I kind of tap into like fan culture a little bit. I enjoy like the celebration of stuff, but I'm so tapped out of like the constant discussion of things. Like even Star Wars, like as much as I babble about it, I've had to like cut myself off from like every fan cast about it at like anywhere. Mostly because it's the same fucking 5 points made over and over again. And if you talk about something that much, like you gotta mix up what you talk about, you know?
Yeah, I mean that's why I'm glad like when I first started doing these and relatively seriously, or at least more consistently, these podcasts, I'm glad it wasn't just about one thing. I'm glad I left it open for myself, because, you know, as much fun as I have doing these long form retrospectives, it's like, fuck, imagine if I just made a Halloween podcast and God forbid it was like a successful source of like income. Yeah. And then I had to keep doing it. Oh my God. I do want to, on that note, this Star Wars thing, I want to give a shout out to Steele Saunders, who I don't always listen to his podcast, but he's been on the show before, and he does a good job of highlighting unique voices in the Star Wars community and shutting shit down when it's unhealthy. So I gotta give props for that.
And shout out to the Blue Bantha Milk podcast.
Oh yes. Hi Sean Fallon.
Which I've been enjoying. Which is like the opposite. Like I just totally shot down the idea of doing a podcast centered around one property. But those are two good examples.
Yeah.
Because the
point is they can work, but it's far and few between.
Yeah, and they also like the hosts of those shows tend to have very healthy perspectives. They also seem to be interested in more than just Star Wars, which always helps.
Well, Sean lives in Australia, and he always provides a also unique perspective.
Yes, Australia. That great America on the other side of the sphere.
Although I think he's from the UK, so.
Oh, well.
Yeah. Sean, if you're listening, where are you from? And let me know when I can go crash on your guys' couch in Australia, because you still owe me for In-N-Out that one time.
Once your government stops imploding, please invite us.
So Mask of the Phantasm.
Mask of the Phantasm has nothing to do with Australian politics.
Now, the Dark Knight confronts his newest and most menacing villain.
Your angel of death awaits.
the Phantasm,
I want you.
and faces his greatest danger.
We should mention that the opening scene, which we are still on, features Dick Miller. Did you hear that voice?
No.
It was Dick Miller was Chucky Saul.
Aww.
Hey, no, it's great. Shout out to Dick Miller. Everyone loves him.
No, it is great. I love Dick Miller. I'm just bummed he's no longer with us.
Yes, it's sad. But it's always great to see him, and it's also great to hear him. Apparently, he's the first
that's
victim
nice.
of the Phantasm.
That is less nice.
He dies in like half the movies he's in.
Yeah. But here's
He
the
dies
thing.
in
Everyone
Gremlins
loves.
and then comes back in Gremlins too.
I was about to bring that up. That's how
Gremlins
much
in the
everyone
cab.
loves him. Woo.
Thanks, Oscars, for ignoring him.
Yeah, fuckers.
Fuck the Oscars.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're recording this a day after the Oscars.
Yeah, so we're still pretty heated.
Yeah.
And I didn't even watch them. I just caught the clips on Twitter.
All right, how do we tie Green Book into Batman?
Much like the Joker. I don't know.
That movie's just not interesting enough.
Yeah, no, it's just like... It really is driving Miss Daisy for like the 2010s.
What if it's Viggo Mortensen? It's like, hey, Batman!
Oh, God. Viggo Mortensen, like, post Lord of the Rings, or even now, if he didn't, like, say the N-word, would have been, like, a great Black Mask.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Viggo Mortensen, until about 6 months ago, was
Wait,
one of,
no,
like...
maybe he shouldn't be a character called Black Mask, then.
Viggo Mortensen in the past 6 months destroyed any goodwill he had. Which is kind of incredible when you think about it.
Oh, my God. Yeah, that's true. He's doing Eastern Promises sequel with David Cronenberg.
Oh, Cronenberg's doing it?
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus. I don't know if that's a movie we need right now.
I don't think so either.
Hey, at least Cronenberg's doing something.
Yeah.
But as we all know, the Batman, it all started with Viggo.
Okay, so let's wind it back a little.
Let's wind it back.
The plot.
I think the thing is, the plot of this movie is very simple, and you know the twist 5 minutes into the movie. But it's a very enjoyable ride. That's why we're kind of talking about everything else.
Yeah.
I will say I got a flashback. I sent you a text message, but you're apparently not getting texts today.
I'm not getting texts unless they're on iMessage, and I don't know why that is.
I don't either, but
Yeah.
There's a moment in this that made me think of something, because a lot of this movie is told in flashbacks. They retell kind of year one Batman, which is Batman learning how to do it, and the decisions that decided if Batman could go in one direction or the other. A happy life or being the Batman. And he's staring at... One of the first flashbacks kicks in when he's staring at a portrait of his family, his parents, and just made me realize that the Batman has to think about his entire life before he can go out fighting crime.
Oh my God! This is Batman's biopic.
Yes, Batman the Dewey Cox story. Which is also, I should say, because we talked about musical biopics last time, I think, even though it's too late because they've already filmed it, the best way to do a Joker movie would be to have multiple Jokers. Different actors playing the Joker.
No, okay, that was my take on that.
Okay.
Not just for one movie, but every appearance of the Joker in like the same continuity. Like, let's say the DC movies had like actually taken off right after BVS, and then the Joker would be like a recurring villain in Batman and like maybe some other movies, right? He gets one grandstanding movie, but a recurring villain. But every time he's got to be someone different. So that way you get rid of Jared Leto, but you also get to shift like the narrative around the Joker, because that character's basically evolved more than like any other comic book character in DC and Marvel, you know?
I think the Joker,
maybe the most.
I don't know if I'd say evolved, but he just has the many faces. There's many different versions of the Joker. But I would just like to see. Yeah, that'd be pretty good. Although I wouldn't mind if they started doing that with like every film had a different Batman.
That might happen.
Like
given
I would
the way
honestly,
movie's working out.
I would honestly do that at this point. Man, if The Irishman works with the de-aging shit, you know what would be? It would be perfect to retell, maybe not this story, but take elements of it, bring Michael Keaton back as old Batman, and then de-age him for flashbacks.
I'm like surprised no one's like brought that up. Like no one in serious talks, because that's like a big fan thing. Where, you know, I'll do a Batman Beyond movie, but have Michael Keaton as Batman and Bruce Wayne. And it's like, yeah, like there's a big 80s nostalgia pull. We're going to see the 90s start blowing up again really soon. So, like, how has that not been, like, an attempted selling point? That's weird.
Especially after Star Wars kind of was big off of bringing all the actors back.
Yeah.
To the point where now we're getting another Ghostbusters movie that will attempt to do that after the other one didn't. And no one gives a shit.
But they're going to give it back to the fans.
We're going to give it back to the fans who are just the
fucking
worst.
Idiots.
I mean,
now I'm mad. I made myself mad. I apologize.
Hey, and I'll be honest, just to give a little olive branch to fans who don't deserve it. I also didn't like the new Ghostbusters movie, but I also didn't send death threats to people over it.
It's fine. It's got issues.
I would never sit and watch it again, but again, people have different takes. And hey, I love that cast. I wish they had a better script.
Oh yeah, no. It's kind of like Ocean's 8, where it's like, God, this cast is so good. Why did you hire this person to make this movie?
Why did you either hire the least talented people in Hollywood or completely shackle actual talented people? Because the guy who did the new Ghostbusters is actually a good director. Like, he's actually okay. Yeah,
I really love Spy, actually. I think that's like a legitimately great action comedy.
The Heat has a moment in it that I was like, I almost had like an attack. I was laughing so hard. When they have to give the fucking like trach to that guy.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it just kept going. It was amazing. Have him do a Batman movie and have everyone get pissed off.
Oh, hell yeah. Now we're fucking talking.
He could maybe do a Harley Quinn movie.
Okay, so here's the thing. I'm looking forward to the next, like, Harley Quinn appearance, because I've heard that that director's previous film, Dead Pigs, is, like, really good. But it's also from a festival crowd, so you kind of got to, like, temper expectations whenever you hear, like, every film at Sundance is the best movie ever. And you watch and you're like, it's fine. You know, it is good. Some of them are good. But, you know.
They're usually all very fine, but when they get hyped up that much, there's then a huge backlash.
Yeah.
What was the one a couple years ago where, like, everyone really turned on it after Sundance?
There's usually, like, a couple every year. I don't know.
You know what? It wasn't even that. It was a mixture of it not being very good, and also the director got accused of fucking a rape, I think.
Oh, no, yeah.
It was that Birth of a Nation.
Yep, that one.
Yeah. That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Anyway, Batman Mask of the Phantasm.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to, like, cut the shit out of, like, this episode.
No, this is fine. We're not at an hour yet, so just fucking leave it.
No. I
don't
so you
think
mentioned
you understand
the plot.
how much our fans like useless babble.
All right, so you mentioned that the plot is kind of, you know, like, it's solid. The story itself is told in solid fashion. It's really like the characters that really sing and the art design and stuff like that.
I really love the recurring element of the World's Fair, where we see, like, the great future promised, and then we see the actual future everyone got.
Yeah.
And it's reflected.
Oh my god, that's the shit right there.
Yeah,
I think it was on Batman Returns where I talked about how I love, like, when movies like this subvert like that little happy-go-lucky type imagery and like set design, but like make it really like distorted and ugly. And so this is like my shit right here. That finale is a perfect blend of production, character, theme. I was just like, that's Cloud 9, A+, 5 stars, whatever bullshit rating you gotta apply to a film. That's it right here.
It's the best.
Yeah. It made me very happy.
It's just, it was honestly, it does a fairly good job at like a very obvious point, which is that Batman makes himself miserable. Yes,
thank you.
Batman thinks he can't have a happy life, and it's destroying him. But both the central characters end up believing that, and we see what that's going to lead to.
Okay, I'm glad you mentioned that it's both central characters, because this really is also the character Andrea Beaumont's story as much as it is Bruce Wayne's.
Yeah. We
just kind of like, they withhold the information for the plot twist, even though you know it's coming.
You know, they do an interesting head fake where Stacy Keach voices the Phantasm and her father, which can throw you off a little bit. But
yeah, I mean, I didn't know when I first saw it when I was young, because I saw it on VHS. I didn't see it in the theater, obviously, and I was just like, I didn't get it. Because I couldn't understand that. No. That was a man's voice. My brain just couldn't put the two together. So I was like, hey, oh no, we must have gotten a bad tape. Like they cut out the middle part of the movie or something. And I couldn't get it for whatever reason.
I think it really is a twist that I think kind of needs to go away, where it's like, oh, it's actually a woman. Can you believe a woman did all this?
Which leads me into a big point I wanted to bring up. Maybe the Batman and his series of films relationship with women.
Yes.
Are
at least
I see it now.
At least here we get a woman who's as complicated as he is.
Yeah, she's allowed to have her own agency and failures as much as Bruce Wayne. This plays better.
We should mention that their first meet cute is in a cemetery at their parents' graves.
Romantic.
Which is exactly how you want to meet someone in life.
Yep.
Like, only both those characters would think that was okay.
Yeah.
That's what makes it great. Like, again, it's very obvious, but it's really nice.
Yeah. Like, obviously I'm a big Michael Mann fan. His whole thing is like duality and characters that would only be able to understand each other. I can imagine even him watching this and being like, that's a little on the nose.
That's a little much.
Yeah.
The guy who literally had, Al Pacino and De Niro's face, overlap.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a bit much. I don't know, it's a really enjoyable ride for what it is. But again, you have to kind of keep the idea that it is meant for children at the end of the day.
But it's also super fucking dark and involves murder.
There's a lot of murder in this, which they couldn't do on the animated series. The animated series, they always did a good one because the Joker gas would give people the fucking terrifying rictus grin.
Oh, yeah.
But every time on the animated series, would be like, get this person to a hospital, but then you would just never hear about them again. And that was their way around, not saying whether or not the person died.
There's another Batman story that we're going to talk about on this show that kind of teeters in the same area and then immediately flips that on its head.
Yes.
Which is really great. We'll get to that. Did we already credit Mark Hamill enough in this already?
I mentioned it, but we didn't go into him.
Yeah, I guess because we'll be talking about him at least one other time.
What age did you find out he was the Joker on the animated series?
Oh God, I didn't find out till high school.
Same.
Maybe my senior or junior year.
That fucking blew my fucking mind.
I couldn't believe it. I had to Google it, and it just, that man is so crazy talented. It's such a bummer that Last Jedi got such a negative fan backlash because he's so good in that movie too. And I think, given the whirlwind of success he's had in really specific acting circumstances in the Joker and as Luke Skywalker, that he's really proved himself as not just like a great like movie star icon, but like as a really great actor, and he should be getting like great roles to play in all kinds of stories now. But it's just not really
the conversation around The Last Jedi should have been Mark Hamill deserves an Oscar nomination for supporting actor.
Oh God, fucking robbed.
A la, when they gave it to Ian McKellen when he played Gandalf.
Yeah.
But instead, because fans are terrible, it was about Mark Hamill secretly hates the movie. And here's Mark Hamill being Mark Hamill in interviews, and that's proof that he hates the movie.
Yeah.
But also, who cares what he thinks? He gave a great performance. Fucking Burt Reynolds hated Boogie Nights, and he was great in that. Just such a waste. But here he's an amazing Joker, and again, it's purely nostalgia probably, but all the characters as defined by the animated series are how they exist in my brain. So it's Mark Hamill's voice I hear out of the Joker everywhere.
I like to think that I generally don't give in to nostalgia now. Like I'm really like trying to distance any kind of like self-interest, I guess, in that. Like there's always stuff that's gonna like tug at me a little more, like Jurassic Park. Or like the first Spy Kids, the first two Spy Kids actually for a lot of reasons.
Hey, fucking Stallone is in Spy Kids 3, playing multiple roles.
Hey, Spy Kids 3 is less good, but it's kind of amazing
good,
anyways.
But it has moments.
But no, I guess the point I'm making is that like generally I feel pretty good about being like, I have a soft spot, but I could tell when something's just not really for me anymore. Or like, I have a confident sense of like measuring quality or something like that on my own end. And I think it's safe to say that a lot of people really are drawn to these versions of the characters to the point that along with like the Nolan trilogy that people get very defensive when this isn't like seen as the ultimate peak of these characters' interpretation. And I think that's a bad thing, but I get it more than a lot of other interpretations to die on.
I just think that you got the healthy attitude you got to start having is that like recognize what works for you, and that it was probably nostalgia. I can't just no matter what, if you throw an episode of the Batman animated series on, I'm gonna love it just because of who I am. But I also have to not gatekeep. I can't be like, no, this is what you got to go through to love Batman. I don't care how you get the Batman, if you got to it.
Yeah.
Have whatever interpretation you want, and they all bring something to it. Even bad interpretations have something to them, even if they just show you maybe what not to do.
Which we will get to. Will boy. We get to them?
Yeah, we got a 1-2 punch coming up.
Mask of the Phantasm, really good. I don't know how much else you want to talk about it.
Yeah, I don't know. We could go into the plot. We could go into it more, but I mean, just check it out. It's fucking again, it's an hour 15. Although unfortunately, Warner Media is starting to wall up all their shit because they're getting ready to stream their own things. Because that company is run by terrorists. But so unfortunately, you'll have trouble getting access to this stuff. Now, I was able to get it on Vudu, but it's not even on Amazon Prime.
Fuck.
Yeah. And the Batman animated series just went off Amazon Prime. But thankfully I own that. But yeah, check it out if you can. It's really, really good.
They had 2 more official theatrical releases, or no, not theatrical, but they had 2 more Batman movies, right? Tied to the animated series.
Yes. Well,
didn't get theatrical releases.
Yeah, there was Mr. Freeze Sub-Zero, which was the tie-in with Batman and Robin. It ended up being a better film. And then there was Batman Mystery of the Batwoman, which I think I saw once and I don't really remember.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen Mystery of the Batwoman, but I really liked Sub-Zero. I think that one...
Sub-Zero is really cool, because Mr. Freeze is actually...
Yeah, it deserves a little more credit.
Mr. Freeze needs to get his due one of these days, because right now he's just a joke in the mainstream consciousness, but...
He needs his Aquaman moment.
Yeah.
That's what he needs.
If you just give him like the suit with those red goggles, like you'll make an alright movie.
The animated series, really quick, I just want to say that everything involving Mr. Freeze in the animated series is really fantastic.
Yes, and
not just in this series, when it continues.
Yeah, this
I
series
really like him.
Defined the new Mr. Freeze, and is why he was so popular enough to be in one of these movies. Because before that, no one gave a shit.
Mm-hmm.
But because of this, we get Arnold Schwarzenegger Mr. Freeze, which was a mistake. And we had no more theatrically released animated films because this ended up bombing at the box office. It was supposed to be direct to video, and then last minute Warner Bros. Like, we'll give you like a couple more million, release it theatrically. And they kind of had to scramble to make it like movie theater quality. And then Warner Brothers at that time just like could not release an animated film to save their life. Like they fucked up this, they fucked up Iron Giant like a couple years later. Quest for Camelot, I think, was them, which is just a bad movie, but they also didn't know how to market it. And like the only like animated hit they had was Space Jam, and that's a terrible film.
I'm baffled that was the one hit.
Because it was Michael Jordan
I
thing.
Get it. Yeah.
I mean, and Michael Jordan was like a real life superhero at the time. Like now they're gonna do another Space Jam, which I hope it's like at least marginally okay.
I mean, hey, Coogler's producing it.
Yeah.
That could be something.
Or he's just doing it to get another project made.
Yeah, maybe.
A la
Maybe
Martin
so.
Scorsese on the Joker film.
Oh no, he's not on it anymore.
Okay.
He left before the official like production started.
Okay, but does he still have a credit on it at all?
I don't think so. No.
Okay, I thought it was like a Spielberg thing where Spielberg used to just get executive credit on shit, and they would just give him like a couple million.
Yeah, like he'd produce every Transformers film.
Yeah, but he had nothing to do with any of it.
To the credit of the first one, that one feels the most Spielbergian. But Scorsese is just not even in passing, I don't think, involved with the Joker anymore.
Okay, hope he got something out of it.
Yeah, I'm convinced they're just remaking the King of Comedy.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
But with the Joker.
Yeah, if they did it in the right hands.
We'll see.
Yeah, we will. When does that come out?
November.
Okay. We'll probably do something on it. I mean, we've kind of put our feet in the Batman world.
Yeah. I'm feeling, I have no knowledge of this, but I'm feeling that it's going to have some Batman like imagery apart from the Joker. Like I think Batman will pop up in some capacity, because especially if it's just supposed to be like an Elseworlds type thing, then I doubt they're just going to let it truly be a standalone thing, given how these people work.
I don't know if anyone knows what they're doing.
Yeah, that's why I think it won't be that standalone of a thing.
The fact that Aquaman was their best film and it feels like an accident says a lot. That was Mask of the Phantasm.
Yeah, it's really good.
It's really good. Check it out. We didn't actually spoil much of it, even though the twist is super obvious.
Yeah, you could actually go in blind and have a great time, which is rare for these discussions.
Yeah, normally we go like really in depth about the plot, but we ended up talking about everything else. But it was good. I enjoyed talking about it, and I enjoyed revisiting it.
Yeah, me too. I love the sky in Gotham in the animated series. I wish it was something.
Red Sky Gotham's the best.
Yeah, I wish that was a cue that the live action films took. One of them certainly does.
Didn't they try to do it like in a weird way in BVS?
No, I don't think so. I think it's just that Larry Fong, Zack Snyder look, which is not the problem I have with the movie.
Well, I thought they didn't try to like do unexplained Red Sky. They tried to do like there's an actual source of the red.
I don't think so, but I feel like I remember that, because it really, there's no difference between Metropolis and Gotham.
It's almost like that movie just isn't memorable, despite throwing everything at the wall.
I will not have any Larry Fong slander.
Hey, no, he's good. Get with the good director, Larry. Larry,
that's the thing.
Larry, what are you doing, Larry?
No, that's the thing. He finally got with a good director, and then the studio fucked up their project.
Oh, what was it?
The Predator.
Oh, God, you're right. Oh, shit.
He can't catch a break, man.
Man, Larry Fong. Larry Fong can't catch a break.
Oh, you know what? Kong Skull Island is at least like visually interesting from time to time, and that's like all him because there's nothing in that.
No, like the only good stuff in that movie is him.
Yeah.
How dare you waste Brie Larson?
Yeah, what the fuck, man?
And John Goodman.
You know what? At least Samuel L. Jackson gets to call King Kong a motherfucker.
Yeah, but
that's kind of fun.
Sam Jackson.
Yeah. Oh well. Go see Captain Marvel.
Not to be confused with Captain Marvel and Shazam, coming out another month from now. He's officially Shazam, though, right?
Yeah,
That's
he's just
stupid.
Shazam. They're not going to call him Captain Marvel.
That's stupid. Comics are stupid for children. Everyone should be ashamed.
Matt, where can the people find you?
Send your angry messages to EmperorOTN at twitter.com. And I'm also on YouTube, which will have something on it eventually.
You could also find me on twitter.com at DEWGO Waffles. Check out the Waffle Press on SoundCloud, YouTube, iTunes, etc. The Patreon. I think that's it.
You got it. They know.
Yeah, you know. It's in the description. I just copy and paste it every time.
I will say, though, I've been glad to see that instead of a couple dozen reviews, we've been getting hundreds of views lately. So, that's nice. Hey, baby steps.
Yeah. Baby steps indeed. I think it helps that I'm finally uploading like consistently now.
Yes. I hope nothing I've said on this show comes back to bite me in a job interview someday.
I know. I'm going to cut this part, but someone's going to pull up the Alien 3 clip from the beginning.
Oh, no.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. We've been professionally unprofessional.
Bye.
Can't be too careful with all those weirdos around.
A soaring new adventure. Batman, Mask of the Phantasm. The animated movie. Coming for a Christmas you'll never forget.